say if you're out with like a whole team of people in the middle of the woods, if you guys don't really have a map or no one really knows where you're going, you're gonna go a little slow. Maybe someone's kind of like dragging over here. But if all of you are like, here's where we're headed, then you can move with purpose and intention and focus together to get somewhere.
Wherever you're at in your business, if you have dreams of like, man, I'd love to do passion projects, or I just, there's so many other cool documentaries that we could do, but they can't sustain, the business can't afford it and whatever, and I don't have the time. But man, you get out of that operator seat where you're doing the day-to-day, there's freedom, there's opportunity. To be able to do some other things, or to continue to scale the business and sell more things and make more money, and that can be really cool too.
Finding a way that you can get some of your time back is going to be the best thing to get you moving in a direction of like paying for support, but also like making money and elevating yourself. So in my brain, I immediately think of like, what type of talent can you either offshore or nearshore potentially to take you out of maybe like 20% of the things you're doing during the week? Like, and can that 20% now be where you're doing more revenue generating activities that in effect pay for that person plus more?
On episode 456 of the podcast, we're talking about how to escape the operator trap that is draining your soul without sacrificing quality or control inside of your video business. We also talk about why hiring your first virtual assistant could give you back an entire day per week and the specific tasks to delegate first. And then also the counterintuitive reason that most creative business owners stay stuck at around $100,000 a year, and how EOS can break you through to multiple six figures. All that and so much more on today's show. What up, friend? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business podcast, where I help you build systems that can scale your business instead of burning you out. Have you ever experienced burnout in your business? If so, then you're in the right spot. Man, I'm so excited that you are here. If you've ever felt like I have multiple times in my business where you're just like drowning in the day-to-day stuff while your bigger vision, the things that you're dreaming about, gets pushed aside, this conversation is going to hit episode. Here, we're digging into the stuff that keeps us video business owners up at night, being trapped in the operations, struggling to let go of perfectionism, and just feeling like you have to do everything that yourself. My guest, Jamie, she's got a blueprint for helping you get your life back while actually growing your business faster. Really, really enjoyed this conversation. If you're new here and you're not on my email list, this email list is not just a newsletter. I'm giving you actionable tips and tricks, and I send out a weekly email that recaps the podcast, gives you some action items and homework, and the best way for you to not just be a consumer, but actually make an impact, make a difference in your business so that you can get some freedoms and some of your life back, is to find time to apply some of the work. And instead of you taking notes while listening to the show, I'm giving you the notes. Hey, here are the takeaways. Here's your homework. So sign up to our newsletter. No, why do I say that? I always tell people, don't say sign up to our newsletter. Sign up to my fancy email list, because that sounds so much better. But you can start by going to grab my free workshop where I've taken the last 20 plus years of me running my business and put it into a workshop that is actionable for you. Once you sign up to that workshop, then you're on our email list and you'll be able to get the updates and all of the things. So you can get access to the workshop by going to studiosherpas.com/workshop. And I've got some free gifts for you there for signing up, and you'll get our weekly updates, plus all of the other amazing stuff that is happening all around us. My job in this work is to find the things that will help you. Actually, it's very self-serving first. I try to find the things that are going to help me grow in my video business. And I know that when I find stuff that's going to work for me, there's a pretty good chance that if you apply it, you do it, it's going to work for you as well. So, so that's my hope. That's my heartbeat behind this whole thing. Again, you can get access to the workshop and get on our email list if you go to studiosherpas.com/workshop. That's it. Let's jump into today's episode, and I'll see you in there. What's up, friend? Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. Today with me is Jamie Munoz, who is a visionary, and she's also founder of Catalyst Integrators. I think my most recent hire as well. So, Jamie, super excited to have you. I as soon as I was introduced to you by our mutual friend, Mark Sheeran, I was like, oh, she's going to be a great guest. I love the business model. I'm the, huge EOS fan. I've been talking about it for years and years and years. Everybody that listens to the show, they're just like, okay, again, we're going to talk about EOS again. But man, what a game changer for my life and my business. Congrats on what you've built thus far. Super excited to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. I'm really excited to hang out with you.
And that's it. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the show, and we'll see you guys next time. That's a joke. Jamie, come on.
And we're done.
Yeah. And cut. So how did you actually, let's talk about this. You're the visionary, right? So, okay. For the listener that's brand new, that's like, what is EOS Traction Integrator? What is Ryan talking about? 2018? Was it 2017? I read the book Traction. A good friend of mine, he was an EOS implementer at the time, gave me this book, Traction, by this guy named Gino Wickman, who apparently was from, or is from, the Metro Detroit area, which is where we're at. I read this book and I'm like, holy crap, out of, the last, dozen or so years of me reading every business book in the world, I finally read this one and I'm like, this is all of the best put in a framework. And this is the blueprint for how I can run this business. And we started doing it. I had my administrative assistant. She said, I want to do this. This is what I want to do, when we discovered what this was. And I was like, oh, this sounds amazing. So I had a person, an operator, an integrator in the business. And we started having level 10 meetings and, doing all this stuff. We got so organized and we created our 10-year, 3-year, 1-year goals, quarterly rocks. And we had the most focus and we got the most things done in our business than we ever had. And I think, at that point, my business was probably 14 years old, 13. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. So for me, the entrepreneurial operating system has been a total game changer. And anytime that I talk to somebody that's in this space, it's super fun conversations. You've built a business around helping businesses like mine say, hey, if you don't have an operator, you don't have somebody that can apply the things of EOS as an integrator, we can help you. And so explain where did you come up with this idea to create this agency? And then go a little bit more into detail on what does it even mean to be an integrator and how do you help crazy scattered visionaries like myself?
I love this. You teed it up beautifully. Great conversation. Okay, so I found EOS in 2015. I was running a large format printing business. My visionary handed me the book Traction, similar to how you were like, oh, I had somebody. That was me. I was the person that got the book handed to me and was like, okay, figure it out. I was like, yes, I love this. I want this. I want to do this. And so scaled that operation from, we were at 13 people when I started. We found EOS at around 60 team members and had some turnover, right? So what happened is, I wish we would have found it sooner, as we all would say. Basically, we got to 60 team members, hit a ceiling. And when we started integrating EOS, one of the beautiful things about it is that it pulls you together with the right fit people. Like we were talking about even kind of before we started this call was alignment in the right people, right? Your core values, this is what brings the right people together and is you're for me or you're not for me, or are we the right people to do this journey together, this work together?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really beautiful thing that EOS does. It also, if you're not a right fit, and not part of that, it's going to help you move out of the company, right? So we had some turnover in that first year or two of implementing EOS and scaled that company over the next 4 years up to about 100 people. We went from, when I started, we were at $2 million in revenue. We got to 15 million in revenue. And my visionary was like, I want to become an implementer. So he loved EOS so much, he became an EOS implementer.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know. And that was like his next step. And we had the business kind of operating, like it was running on rails. I had somebody in operations, so I didn't really need to be there full time anymore. Like we scaled the business to where it could sustain on its own where it was at. And so I kind of tripped into becoming a fractional integrator because based on the EOS model, when you were talking about the visionary seat, right? I'll do like a visual chart with my hands. So you've got the visionary at the top of the chart. Integrator is that second in command. That's kind of the puzzle piece match. Then you have the leadership team. So if the integrator is in multiple seats, as a growing, scaling organization would have, like I'm sure your integrator was also head of operations or head of other things at first, right? Then you're in the seats fractionally. So that's how fractional in a nutshell kind of works in the EOS model, is because you're not a seat on the chart doesn't mean full time necessarily. So that's kind of what brought me into the world of being fractional as an integrator and working for multiple companies from that second in command integrator seat to help drive operational excellence and be that thought partner for the visionary to grow the business.
I love that. I was, as you're sharing and you're talking about right person, right seat, when you right before we discovered EOS, I hired a life coach. He's like a life and business coach. And he had asked me, he's like, so do you have like the dream team working for you? And at this point, I think I had 7 employees. And I was like, you know what? 2 of the people are like, I love these guys to death. I love their families. I love their values, all this stuff. But I'm like, the rest, I'm just like, and like in my mind, I didn't have looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have fired them. But I didn't have, I'm like, they're not doing anything wrong, right?
There's nothing to back
show
up
up,
why you felt that way. It was like,
Yeah. So I was just like, they're not, I'm like, they're like meh, they're kind of like meh. And it reminds me of Office Space when Jennifer Aniston, she's working at TGI Fridays and they're like, hey, you're supposed to wear, at least 15 pieces of flair or whatever it is. And the guy that she works with has like 1,000 and he's like, giving her middle fingers behind the boss's back. And she's just like, she's doing the bare minimum. And I'm like, that's what I feel like, the people that work for me, nobody's like really hungry and getting after it. But like, I'm like, I can't fire these people. So as we develop core values and, we're getting integrated into EOS, the verbiage, what I hear when you do EOS, it's like, hey, we hire and we fire by our values. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And then learning more and more about that, it's like, you're not doing yourself any favors and you're not doing your employee any favors when you realize that they're not the right fit anymore, right? If they don't align with the values. And that was so freeing to understand that, because then I finally had a framework to say, hey, if something feels off with this employee, let's dig into our core values. Let's look at our values. Let's see which ones align, which ones don't, and then talk to those employees and say, hey, you're not hungry anymore. Or when you started, you were amazing and whatever. So now, so can you get hungry? And if you can't get hungry, like, let's get you out of here. And like, I want to help find you the right place of work. It's obviously not here if that's the case. And so that was, I think, one of the very first biggest learnings that I had received from EOS. And it was just like so helpful. But there have been so many things like that throughout my practicing of EOS.
At Catalyst, we adopted, I heard this phrase somewhere and we loved it. I wish I could quote the person who said it, but that
it's probably
people,
me somewhere.
It was probably you. I mean, it might even be like on a t-shirt on Amazon for sure that says, Ryan. Is that your people are free to be excellent elsewhere. So, that if there's no longer a fit there or an alignment, and that happens through the growth journey of our companies, right? And our entrepreneurial journey, and it ties so much to what we call the VTO is our vision traction organizer. And that's the business plan. That includes the core values, the 1 year, the 3 year, the 5 year, why are we doing what we're doing? And if you can imagine, say if you're out with like a whole team of people in the middle of the woods, right? if you guys don't really have a map or no one really knows where you're going, you guys are kind of going to maybe meander, right? You're going to go a little slow. Maybe someone's kind of like dragging over here. But if all of you are like, here's where we're headed, then you can move with purpose and intention and focus together to get somewhere. Otherwise, you're just kind of like dabbling. And it makes me wonder, like in our instance, when we had some of that turnover up front, and then what you're saying with your team members, it's like, when there's lack of clarity also on why we're here and what we're doing and the part that I play, how can I show up with all the flair? How can I show up and like be all in or not?
Yeah. 100%. Getting like everybody rowing in the same direction. It's like, I mean, okay, so it's like, obviously the book is called Traction, right? I mean, that's the whole concept. You can't get that if there's not alignment. And, since COVID, when COVID happened, my operations person who was our fractional integrator, she left, and we had somebody replace her who didn't have, EOS background, and he did the best that he could, and it was okay. And then the next person who, came in for him, it was like, it was a little bit worse. We were still, and then when she left, it was like, okay, like I'm taking the reins back of the business operations. I want to die. It's like, I was not made to be the operator. I was not made to do HR, hire, fire, create process procedure. I'm just like, I'm just managing people. It's taken me a long time to realize. I remember early on, like being like, yeah, I want to be a better leader, and I want to lead my team and build this culture and do all of the things. But then I'm like, I suck as a manager. I'm annoying. I'm surprised I have people that work for me. I'm surprised I had people that stuck around for a decade, and I got to get out of this seat. And that's why I was so excited when, for this year, this is our best year since pre-COVID. And, it's not, amazing, but we're feeling like, okay, we've got some momentum. We're getting some traction here. So what would it look like if it's either I'm going to shut this business down, or I've just got to figure out like heck how to get out of the operator seat?
It's not your unique ability.
It drains my soul.
You can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah. But here's where I would say so many other business owners feel that like, well, I started it and I did it all at the beginning, so I can figure it out. I can wrestle my way through this. I can struggle, but it'll be fine. But the thing is, I've experienced the freedom of like not doing that, and I'm like, oh man, like that's the life, that's the business. This podcast, this wouldn't exist if we didn't run EOS. I wouldn't have had the bandwidth to start at something new. So wherever you're at in your business, if you have dreams of like, man, I'd love to do passion projects, or I just, there's so many other cool documentaries that we could do, but they can't sustain, the business can't afford it and whatever, and I don't have the time. But man, you get out of that operator seat where you're doing the day-to-day, there's freedom, there's opportunity. Yeah. To be able to do some other things, or to continue to scale the business and sell more things and, make more money. And that can be really cool too.
Yeah. I love that focus on like being clear on what drives you to make some of that other uncomfortable stuff happen, right? You're like, hey, I have this project or this thing or this feeling I'm trying to embody, or the life I want to live, how I want it to look is what the ideal result is. So yeah, what are some of the things I need to do that, the biggest thing I would say for most visionaries is like having that aha moment that no one will care about your business as much as you do, and no one will do things as good as you, right? Or as right as you would, or the same way you would, right? And so when we can let go of those feelings that of like irritation, like you can kind of like release that a little bit, right? And kind of like breathe that like, okay, now that I know that's true, I can make different decisions or be more okay with things, or not get as upset if something doesn't happen the way I would have done it, and then what coaching can I do, or what things can be done a little differently, and realize that the distillation is going to happen. It will.
Yeah. Yep.
It can be lessened for sure by things like EOS and clarity and good leadership, but it's still gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. I think it was it was when my creative director left in 2021, I was like, oh man, I was faced with a decision of like, okay, replace this like huge salary employee who brings like a ton of value to the creative work that we're doing, but not on all the, we have plenty of projects that aren't super creative and don't have to have a ton of story and ton of cinematic, blah, blah, blah. So what am I going to do here? Save money and just scale back. And so in my mind, I was like, let's just approach projects maybe a little bit simpler. And then for the bigger ones, we could hire a contractor to come in and perform those duties. So that was a big money saver. And then when my second in command, the next time when that person left in 2023, I was faced with like, wow, there goes my best shooter and editor. Now what are we going to do? And it's been like this, refining process of me, like you were just explaining, of me, like opening my hands. I've got the creative, I got the business. I want everything that we do to be perfect and beautiful and powerful and emotive and amazing and the best of the best and 10 out of 10 and all that stuff, to like starting to like open my hands and say like, ooh, okay, like maybe a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10 is okay. Maybe a 6. What I feel like is a 6 out of 10 on a finished video. Our clients are like, dude, this is amazing. Like, wow, thank you. And I'm like, what? So don't put this in the newspapers or anything like that. But I would say not that the quality of our work has gone down, but we've realized that what most of our clients need, it's not the 10 out of 10. And the thing is, the 10 out of 10 is the most expensive thing that we do. And so what we're trying to find is like, what is that middle ground? And it took everything inside of me to not die to say, hey, we're not striving for 10 out of 10 from a cinematic, like this like beautiful whatever, to say like, man, no, this business right down the street, they don't need that. Like number one, they're not going to be able to afford the 10 out of 10. And number two, it doesn't matter, because at some point good is good enough for them. So that's been a process in a very difficult process. I don't know if you've worked with like creative agencies where that kind of becomes the thing where you've got like one person who's in charge of, and the creative's got to be like this, but that's a struggle for a lot of us.
I went to school for creative management. Like the funny thing about it is actually I started in school in industrial design. And once I realized that I couldn't draw and I can't do math, that was kind of a problem for designing things that might be driven by humans. So, couldn't do that. So I'm like, well, what am I good at? I'm organized, I'm entrepreneurial. So I went the business track of the creative. So it's like, I found this really amazing niche in knowing and understanding creative people and being a creative person aligned with the side of organization and business and structure and that kind of stuff. And that, I will say, that is a challenge that sometimes people in highly creative industries, or if you have a team of designers on your team or something, like butt up against a little bit with EOS. And I'm not sure if you experience this or not, but when it comes to numbers or scorecard or different things like that, it starts to become like, well, how can I put a number to creativity and all of these things? Right, and it's like, well, we can for sure put a number to, like you just mentioned, well, if we can really only charge $10,000 for this project and you want to spend 20,000 hours on it and also somehow get paid a paycheck to do the work, right? Like you can kind of pull together how it can come together. And it's hard because you don't want to sacrifice some of the creativity, right? But you want to make money at the end of the day to grow your company.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, realizing that, okay, so there's time involved. We give projects, early on, we're like, well, I would tell my guys that we're editing, I'm like, I guess like if you got to spend more time on it, like spend more time on it. But then we got to a place where we did the thing enough times that we realized like, it shouldn't take that long. Like, we've got to deliver this like within 10 hours. So you got to get your creativity in like between hours 0 and 6. And then we can go back and forth from like 6 to 10. But, we've got to rein this in. Otherwise you can never finish a project. There's always another something that you can do to it.
Yep. Always something else to do.
I think the biggest challenge, like I want this to be applicable for the solopreneur. and I think that, a lot of what we're talking about is like team, oh, Ryan, he's got multiple full-time employees and he's got a studio and I work out of my house and I've got a contractor that I hire. How does EOS, how does an integrator, how does that apply to somebody that is, I think in the EOS world, they recommend EOS for like companies that are size 10 or more employees. Obviously there's flex in there or whatever, but when we first did it, I was like, shoot, we're not 10 people. I'm not sure we're ever going to be 10 people. I don't think we want to be 10 people. So do we do this? And we did it, as a company of 6 and we're like, this is amazing. And we did it as a company of 4. We're like, this still works. We're, company of much smaller. And it's like, oh, I think we're going to be able to keep doing this. But can you just speak into that from your experience?
Yeah, I think I was running on EOS when I started as a solo fractional integrator, like clearly I'm not having weird conversations by myself in an L10, like
so self,
right? We're on a 3 strike. Okay. We're having a real attitude problem with you. I do feel like I have multiple personalities because I'm in multiple seats.
Right.
I think it's like, when you're smaller, whether you're solo or have a small team, like there's for sure pieces to adapt from it, of course, that you can use that get you going. Like I think everyone should have a plan and goals and things that you're striving towards every week to meet those goals, right? Like all the principles of EOS really work with what you're doing to help you scale. Your accountability chart at first is going to be you in every seat or 2 or 3 people in multiple seats. So I think what you have to be careful with is most people are used to an org chart where you're one person in one seat. EOS visualizes it where you're in multiple seats, that are a third of your time, a third, whatever. I think psychologically, sometimes what it can do to team members is feel like they're being asked to do 3 full-time jobs. Like I'm in all these seats. I think it creates like an imaginary, because you're like, well, are you working more than 40 hours a week? Well, no. Are you dropping the ball on anything? Well, no. Okay, well, so you're fine. You're doing a little bit of each thing.
Yeah.
And the reason it's represented that way is so we know where we want to scale next. If that seat is starting to outgrow the person, or the person's outgrowing the seat, either way, now we kind of know that's who we might hire for, or that's who we need to, groom someone up into that seat. So it gives you that ability to be really clear on where people's gifts are and their unique abilities in the seats that you have on the chart. So yeah, that's the only thing I feel like sometimes can be harder when you're smaller and multiple people are in multiple seats. Like clarity on capacity is really important because you don't want somebody like, well, wait a second, I'm in 3 seats. I want 3 paychecks. No, it doesn't work like that. Right. I wish it did. I would like 3 paychecks.
Yes. Sign me up. Like, let's go. Right before I started my business, I was helping a friend launch his business and he said, hey, read this book. And it was the E-Myth. And reading that book man, I'm so grateful that I read that right before I started my business because I was able to like compartmentalize and think like, oh, okay, you've got managers, you got the people that do the work. And like, I know long-term, I don't want to be the only one here. And I don't want to be, doing all this grunt work for the rest of my life. So, being able to visualize that. And then the way that EOS is able to spell it out. So as you're listening, if you're still confused, you're like, what the heck are you guys talking about? Our organization chart, it's in EOS, it's called accountability chart. The 3 main buckets of the stuff that we do, we've got sales and marketing. And currently I'm the person that does the sales and marketing. And then we've got actual video production, right? Shooting, editing, project management, all that stuff. And then we've got our HR, accounts payable, accounting, bookkeeping, all the stuff that I try to stay away from as much as possible, but whatever, it is what it is. So those are like the 3 main buckets. And then, my team is I've got a full-time producer, I've got a full-time project manager, and then I've got a full-time shooter and editor. And interestingly enough, and I think Vanessa's going to help with us when she starts next week. So excited. Like I've got to figure out, is our project manager or is our producer, who's accountable? Like who's the one that's leading our production stuff so that, my shooter editor has somebody to answer to, somebody that's keeping them accountable. And then I think it's going to be my project manager is going to be this person. But having all those people in that production seat, now I know I'm in the sales and marketing. I like doing that stuff, but there's so much that's not getting done because I'm spread between being a visionary and the one that's just trying to create the strategy. And then guess what? I'm also in the operations seat. So I'm hiring, I'm firing, I'm spending way too much time with our accountant and doing all of these things that I'm doing, signing paychecks, and I'm just like doing all of those things. And then I'm also doing sales and marketing. And then you guys, I started this business. Fortunately, I only work on this business one day a week. Otherwise, I don't think I'd get anything done, or I would just die because I'm doing all the things that I don't want to be doing. So
it sounds like operations is truly the next seat on the list that's like draining your soul.
Yeah, my goal, and I'm just going to keep saying this because it's going to come true the more times I say it. By the end of next year, I want to be completely out of operations. And I say that, I want my business to be in a spot where I could sell it if I want to, or keep doing it, but it's running and I get to do whatever the heck I want to, but I'm not required.
100%. I think being wanted, not needed, is a nice seat to be in on the chart. And I think we're both growing our businesses in the very same way, where it's like, yes, we're putting all the pieces in place that are like appealing and good to sell, but that's not our goal, but you still need to do those things. And I say need because it's like, for instance, last week, okay, I'm a dog mom. We have rescue pit bulls. One of them had a blockage in her intestines, had to have an emergency surgery on a Sunday night over the weekend.
Oh no.
And
of course,
literally I'm like, an emotional wreck because I'm like, is my dog gonna die? So I'm like having a meltdown. And then also I have projects to work on and I'm in all the same seats you're in, I'm in also in my company. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? But luckily, I tap my team. I talk to my assistant, my head of sales, admin, and I'm just like, hey guys, I have this going on. And they're like, we got this. So they're running the show. I'm not even there all week. They cleared my calendar. Like I'm a nice to have because again, I can be like you're saying, strategy, the bigger picture stuff, the drive forward, like that's nice. But not needed every single day to run the show. They're running the show. I was able to completely step away last week and not worry that invoicing wouldn't go out or that all these things wouldn't happen while I took care of my family. So that's kind of like on the other side of, what EOS has done for me in general. And then also being a willing leader, like you're saying, like there's a willingness piece to this that like you have to want to stop the service delivery. Like you were the one doing the filming and the production and all of that at one time. And I was the one that was the fractional integrator for my clients. We pivoted to be like, I want to run the company. I want to, that's now my focus. And I'm no longer doing the service delivery and trusting and building the people around me that can do those things. I think that's, if that's your goal, like then, move in that direction. Otherwise, if you're like, I love and want to do the service delivery myself and I don't want to give that seat up, the worst thing that you can do is abdicate things you love to do because you feel like you should or you just want to be in the owner's box. You'll get there and you'll hate it. Like it's not why you're doing what you're doing. If you want to stay in service delivery, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. It's your company.
Yeah, I work with a guy who he used to work for me. He left. He started a post-production company. He's editing video. And he doesn't want to do, most of the things that come with, he wants to be an editor. If you listen to this show at all, you know that I'm like, hey, if you want your time back, the first thing you got to get out of it is editing. Like as much as we love it, it's super fun to put the story together. It's the most time consuming task that we do. And yes, you are the best at it. Can you teach somebody else how to do it? Yes. Are there other editors out there that are better than you? Actually, there are. But if like you're like, nope, if I got to pick all the jobs, like that's the one I want to do, you can still build a business. What he's done is his brother does he's reaching out to me. He's like, hey, can you pay this invoice? Can you, so his brother is helping run that side of the business and finding the balance of like, what are the tasks, the jobs, the parts on the accountability chart or the org chart that I just definitely don't want to do. And that's where you start hiring and finding help and support so that you can do more of the thing that is your sweet sauce. It's like a mix of stuff and sauce.
Yeah.
Sweet sauce. Yeah, it's weird. The thing that just, you love more than anything. But for me, it was like, I came to a point in my business where I'm like, I love doing that. But what I love thinking about more is to not be needed in this business and for it to run without me. And I remember the first time I had an employee out filming an event while I was on a date with my hot wife and we were having dinner, and I was like, holy crap, I'm making money right now. And I'm not doing anything like that. I was like, this is what how do I figure out how to do this more?
More of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. What do you think for the solopreneur filmmaker that is like, trying to find more time, that's getting the life drained out of them? Like what's a good place for that person to start? Like what advice would you have for them, or what encouragement might you have for them?
Well, here's what first came to my mind, and you tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I would say like finding a way that you can get some of your time back is going to be the best thing to get you moving in a direction of like paying for support, but also like making money and elevating yourself. So in my brain, I immediately think of like, what type of talent can you either offshore or nearshore potentially to take you out of maybe like 20% of the things you're doing during the week? Like, and can that 20% now be where you're doing more revenue generating activities that in effect pay for that person plus more? So it's kind of like, what's the formula of like, what can you get off of your plate that you could delegate to somebody, like, we use a company called Work Better Now. That's who my assistant Jessica is through. She's in Honduras. So she's like same US time zone, right? Cause she's, just, I think she's central time zone. And so I've got her full time doing so much, like she's lifting so much off of my plate in terms of like scheduling meetings, my calendaring, whatever other little tasks or research or things I need done. That's where I started, even when I was solo by myself, was like, how can I hire an assistant of some kind to do some sort of help to lift off of me, to put me in a place where I can bring in more revenue for the company? I don't know. What do you think about that?
I completely disagree. Just kidding. Well, you say, okay, just picture this, listener. What if you had one extra day in your week? What could you do with one extra day? Maybe it's just like have a day off, right? Maybe that's it. So 20% of, thinking, how can I free up 20% of my time? It might not sound like a lot, but that's one day out of a Monday through Friday schedule, right? There's 5 days in a week. If I'm okay at math, I think 20% equals one day. So what if you were able to find somebody? Like, what are the tasks? What are the things that you're doing? And I would say, even if you're not super busy, most people would say like, I need more clients. I wish I had more client work or whatever. But when you think of the activities that you're doing on an average weekly basis, email. I mean, holy cow, how much time do you think you spend in email? And if you have your email app open all day, please do yourself a favor and only check email like 3 times a day. But if you add up how much time you're spending in email, what about scheduling? Going back and forth, trying to find time to have a discovery call or to follow up on a project or to have a kickoff call because a client just signed a contract. What about creating a contract and creating an invoice? And then how much time do you spend following up with clients after you send them in the invoice and they haven't paid it or they haven't signed the contract? What if you had somebody that was doing all of those things, and or you hire contractors to help, edit, shoot, whatever, and they send you invoices? What if you never saw those invoices and you had somebody that was taking care of those, setting them up, putting them in a place, double checking to make sure that the amount that they're charging you is the correct amount because you've got a place where that lives? I think if you just add up those activities, that would get you pretty close to an 8 hours over the course of a week. That's only like 2-ish hours a week. I don't know, something like that. Or 2-ish hours a day, right? Yeah, something like that. So 2 hours in a day. Do you spend 2 hours in a day doing like admin stuff that isn't your special sauce? You do it, you know how to do it. You can do it with your eyes closed almost. So man, hiring, I mean, Randy, she's my assistant. She's in the Philippines, 40 hours a week. She's freaking crushing it. And she's also finding other things. I'm creating tasks and I'm like, hey, can you reach out to this person? I want to get this person on my podcast. I want to do, so not only is she managing my inbox, creating, calls for me to have meetings with clients, creating invoices, prepping it. I mean, it's 40 hours in a week that she's spending at like a much cheaper rate than I would pay a US person to do this. So the opportunity to get your time back doesn't need to cost nearly as much as you think it does. And what you could do with a full extra day, oh man, I mean,
yeah,
there's a whole lot that you could do. So if you're complaining about not having enough leads, not making enough money, if you had a full extra day, could you do something on that extra day that could help in any of those areas?
Protecting your time as an entrepreneur is the number one thing. I'm part of Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan. He's got a book called Who Not How. I would highly recommend. At this point, read it if you want, but like ask ChatGPT for the Cliff Notes. That's totally fine. Like you just need to get the core purpose of the concept of Who Not How, and realizing that like we are people who entrepreneurs want to figure it out themselves, right? Like you've probably gotten where you are because you're willing to do the stuff. You're willing to like, I'll figure that out. I'll YouTube that. I'll figure it out. But like over time, that only works so much. And going to the right who that has the answer, or who that you can pay to do the thing to get you there, is so much more resourceful and valuable than you knowing how to do it all and being the one that can carry all of that. I mean, even very early in my career, when I was a full-time integrator, one of the things I realized was I hate cleaning my house. Not my vibe. I'm not good at it either. Like I didn't know you could like not be good at cleaning, but I'm also like not good at cleaning. Yeah. And so maybe I self-sabotaged that because I didn't like doing it. So I would work like 60 hours, 80 hours a week, right? And then my weekends were like, now I have to clean my house because like I have chores.
Yeah.
And so very early on, I remember telling my husband, like, look, I literally cannot rest or relax knowing I have all this work to do here. I have to like clean all weekend and then I lose my downtime to recharge myself. Can we invest in hiring a cleaning person to come and clean the house so I don't have to worry about it? And I literally shut it out of my brain. I could see a messy floor. I could see dog hair on the floor. Literally, it's out of my brain because I know Maria's coming over on Friday. So now I'm like getting this brain space back and this life back. But oh my gosh, the way that elevated me into like recharging on my weekend so I could come back to the office on Monday and be a great leader, elevated me, promoted me, got me there. So it's kind of that like long game of like, we all know that like we should brush our teeth so that like we have healthy teeth. But like day to day, you're kind of like, I could skip flossing tonight. Like I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But then when you're old and your teeth fall out, you're kind of like, yeah, I wish I would have flossed more. It's kind of like that. It's like, do the things that you know that are going to pay off for yourself in your future as you're going and growing. And it feels good. It feels good to invest in yourself and in the things that you can do to get there. And it doesn't have to cost a lot. It doesn't have to be, I spend $10,000 a month on an assistant. I mean, even if this conversation is overwhelming you and you're like, I don't even know where to begin with this, some of the work that even we do as integrators, as fractional integrators, is be that thought partner. Start with a coach, start with a peer group, start with a fractional integrator that can help you put all these pieces together. If you're struggling to even map out who do I hire and how and what do I have them do, get somebody an hour or two a week as a coach. Like you said, you had a life coach or like somebody that was advising you to like help get you where you needed to go. Invest in yourself in that way.
I love that. That's really good. It's powerful because the what is it? Analysis by paralysis by analysis. somebody's going to walk away from this episode and be like, okay, yeah, I don't even know where to start. Okay. Start by, hiring somebody to help you, just for an hour to sit, break down. Okay. What are you doing? What are you spending your time? Where do you want to go? Like, where do you want to be in 3 years from now? And, okay, let's start slowly moving toward that. And here's the first thing that you can do. So you can stop overthinking it and just get to work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, this has been super fun, Jamie. I love your passion. I love what you're building. I'm excited to get a taste of it starting next week. Actually, I've gotten a taste. Your team has been awesome to work with so far, and really excited to get my time back. And I believe Vanessa's just going to crush it. I told her, I said, hey, the success of this business just lies in you. So don't screw this up.
It's all on you.
I got this.
All of it is on Vanessa, 100%. So,
that's what I said.
No pressure at all.
Just no pressure. You got this. I believe in you. Let's do this. Okay. So if somebody's interested in learning more about Catalyst, what should they do? Where can they go? How do they do the things?
Just one thing I want to say is we're very help first. So we will chat with you. We're not here to sell you on something if you don't need it. Like, that's not our style. That's not our vibe. If you have a question, or if you're unsure on any of what we've been talking about or need guidance, is EOS for you? You're solo, you have a firm, agency, whatever it is, like, we are happy to talk to you and help kind of guide you in a path or direction, or resource you to get where you need to go. So don't hesitate to reach out. Our website is catalystintegrators.com. If you want to speak directly to our integrator matchmaker to get some of that help and guidance and resources, that would be Jody Steele with an E at the end, Steele. She sounds like a cool superhero. And at catalystintegrators.com, you can reach out to me, Jamie Munoz, anywhere that we exist, mainly LinkedIn. But yeah, we're just here to help and provide value. Lots of cool stuff on our website. So yeah, you just got to start. It's like, you just got to start down a path of exploring and talking and figuring out what feels right for you. And, but yeah, this is great. The value that you're providing, people on this podcast is amazing. So cheers to you, Ryan.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. This is super fun.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. If you got something out of today's conversation, do me a favor, share it with a friend or post it on your socials. Tag me at Ryan Coral or at Grow Your Video Business. I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you've got a question or takeaway, drop a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. You can also shoot me a message. I read every single one. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more stories, strategies, and behind the scenes insights coming your way to help you build a business that you love. Keep creating, keep sharing your story, and keep showing up. I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.